This video is part of the GRESB Assessment Training Program. It will cover how to complete specific aspects in the Infrastructure Asset Assessment Performance component using the GRESB Assessment Portal. We'll go through indicators aspect by aspect, providing guidance and examples of how to report on each indicator in the assessment portal. For an overview of the structure of the indicators in the performance component, refer to the lesson titled Asset Assessment Performance Component Structure. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to complete the aspects Implementation, Output and Impact, and Certifications and Awards in the performance component of the Infrastructure Asset Assessment. After this lesson, we recommend that you take the lessons on other indicators in the performance component that are relevant to your entity. Let's first review the aspect Implementation. The intent of this aspect is to provide an opportunity to communicate actions to investors about actions implemented to mitigate ESG risk and/or improve ESG performance. The indicators within the aspect are divided between environmental, social, and governance actions, but each follows the same format. We will use IM1 covering environmental actions as the example here. If you wish to report actions, then select Yes and proceed to add action details one by one. For each action, select the ESG issue from the drop-down under Issues Addressed. The issues addressed are different for each of the environmental, social, and governance indicators. Next, select the category the action falls into. For example, the action may relate to capital, investment, or procurement. A description of the action can be provided in the text box under Description. Under Incentive, select from the drop-down. The options are voluntary, mandatory, or both. In the text box under Impact of the action, effects or outcomes of the action can be described. The monetary impact can be provided separately under Monetary Impact. This can be a number, an estimate, or a description, including, for example, information on return on investment that the entity wants to share with its investors. Options for status of the action are planning or design phase, implementation phase, and completed or operational phase. Finally, you may provide any additional context relating to the action. Multiple actions can be added and must have taken place within the last 3 years. These indicators are not scored and are for reporting purposes only. We'll now discuss the aspect Output and Impact. There is just one indicator in this aspect, and its intent is to provide data on the physical output from the entity and the service it provides. The metrics cover capacity, physical output, and impact value. The mandatory metric in this indicator is output, which is used throughout the performance component to calculate intensities. Impact value is a monetary expression of the ESG impact of the entity and should be estimated using social return on investment or a similar methodology. Additional context for the impact value methodology can be provided in the indicator's text box. This metric provides the opportunity to report on impact for those that are getting into impact measurement. The metrics and units are sector and entity specific, so you should ensure that RC3, sector and geography, and RC1, report currency, are completed before this indicator so that the metrics and units flow through correctly. The last aspect in the performance component is Certification and Awards. The first indicator covers infrastructure certifications. It is pre-filled, so if an entity has reported a certification to GRESB in an earlier reporting period, it will be listed here. New certification standards may be added by contacting the GRESB Help Desk. The entity will obtain a score for having achieved at least one certification. The final indicator in the performance component covers awards and is for reporting purposes only. Report any awards obtained by the asset during the reporting year. Thank you for taking the time to complete this lesson. We hope that it helped you get a better understanding of the asset assessment performance component and prepared you to complete this component accurately. We recommend that you take the lessons on the other indicators in the performance component that are relevant to your entity next. If you have any questions, please contact the GRESB Help Desk at gresb.com/contact.